Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our CRA meeting for this evening for December 15th, 2021. We are delighted to have each of you with us. And at this time, the meeting for the Daytona Beach CRA, Ms. LaMagna will review the procedures for tonight's meeting.
Good evening. Agendas are available on the table in the lobby and at the front of the commission chambers. All exhibits pertaining to items on the agenda are posted in the lobby. Please feel free to view the exhibits at any time during tonight's meeting. You are required to fill out a blue form to speak before the Community Redevelopment Agency. Forms are available on the table in the lobby and in front of the commission chambers. You must complete the sections that ask for your name, address, topic of concern, agenda item number, signature, and date. The form must be completed and placed in the designated box. Resolutions under administrative item number 6 are open for public comment, and you may fill out a blue form to speak when that item is called. All citizens completing a blue form will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. When you approach a lectern, please speak clearly into the microphone and give your full name and address. The 3-minute clock on the monitor above you, the 3-minute clock on the monitor above and directly in front of you will start running when you begin to speak. Pay close attention to your time. You will be told when your time has expired. Disorderly conduct in the public meeting of the City Commission. Article 2, Section 6238 of the City Code of Ordinances reads as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to behave in a riotous or disorderly manner in any public meeting of the City Commission or any committee, agency, or board thereof, or to cause any unnecessary disturbances therein by force, shouting, or any other action that is calculated to disrupt such meeting or to refuse to obey any ruling of the presiding officer or such meeting relative to the orderly process thereof. Please be courteous and respectful of the views of others. Personal attacks on the Community Redevelopment Agency, city staff, or members of the public are not allowed. Please silence cell phones and other wireless devices during the meeting. And all conversation must take place either at the lectern or on the dais so that everyone can hear the business being discussed tonight.
Ms. LaMagna, may we have a roll call?
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Traeger?
Here.
Commissioner Strickland?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Commissioner Henry?
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Present. We'll now have the invocation led by Commissioner Henry, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Reed.
Okay.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity to gather before we celebrate the birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. We ask and pray that you continue to bless us. We ask and pray that you give us the wisdom. We ask and pray that you keep each and every one of us safe as we travel down the roads. We ask and pray that you continue to give us the wisdom to make the very best decisions for the citizens of Daytona Beach. In your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the November 3rd, 2021 business meeting of the Community Redevelopment Agency.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner Reed. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we will hear from our city manager with any changes to tonight's meeting.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we are asking for one change to be added at the very beginning of our meeting, a presentation from Congressman Waltz to the presentation items for the first part of the agenda. Thank you.
All right.
Motion to accept the agenda with the said change.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May. Are there any questions? No questions. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Okay.
We'll now move on to a presentation from Congressman Walsh.
Okay. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our representative in Congress, Congressman Michael Waltz, who is here, and he is also joined by his esteemed retired General Ernie Ardino, who is his district director. It's good to see you, Ernie. Congressman, welcome, and we appreciate tonight's presentation.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, I just thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to update you and brief the Commission on the efforts of my office in support of remediation for what you all well know, the frequent flooding in the Beach Street area. Specifically, we're looking and talking about tonight the Daytona Beach stormwater retention and flood protection and how we'll address that moving forward and hopefully make some progress as part of the bipartisan infrastructure package that has passed the Congress or the FY22, the fiscal year 22 work plans, which should be included in the FY23 president's budget. But as you all well know, but just to refresh, the project is in Midtown. Is estimated to protect over 800 structures, reduce stormwater discharge into the Halifax, improve water quality in the river and in the Nova Canal. So I think it's could really have a tremendous impact for the Midtown area. Essentially the project, in summary, the project would do this by diverting stormwater from the Nova Canal to a pond at the municipal golf course. It will not only provide flood protection for Eastern Volusia, Daytona Beach, of course, Holly Hill, Norman Beach, but also south to South Daytona and Port Orange. Look, I certainly want to say the city has done a great job in providing research data, some preliminary design, environmental impact data, and just continuing to demonstrate the benefits and the efficacy to the Corps of Engineers. That has certainly made my job and my advocacy much easier. As many of you know, but again, just to refresh, the project was originally authorized in 2016 as part of the Federal Water Resources Development Act, or commonly called WRDA. And that was a result of good work by then Congressman DeSantis, now Governor DeSantis, in his office. Corps of Engineer feasibility studies typically cost about $3 million and take about 3 years to complete. They require a 50-50 cost share between the Corps and a non-federal sponsor. So what we're seeking is $1.5 million. It's half of that total cost from the Corps for the feasibility study, and that will be broken up into $500,000 for 3 consecutive years. My letter that we are using to advocate requests the $500,000 for the first year. And since the project has not previously received federal funding, it needs a New Start designation. And as many of you know, those are incredibly competitive and difficult. I believe for 2020, there were 1 or 2 in the entire state of Florida and less than a dozen in the nation. So it takes quite a push, and they're capped at 5 every fiscal year. Again, so last time Florida gets about 1. I think another way to put this, if the Corps begins a project, it intends to fund it in the consecutive years until it's completed. And that's why they're, at least the reasoning is why they're very cautious on the front end, because once that feasibility study starts, they do almost always intend to see it through. So, it's this New Start cap of why this has been, frankly, so frustrating and has taken so long. But we're determined, and I know you are as well, and we're going to continue to push. The good news is we have a great opportunity now with $150 million that's been designated for investigations or feasibility studies in the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was just signed into law. and that $150 million, this is the key part, is not subject to a New Start cap. So we're going to make a hard push on this. We think this is a window, and whether we have a great relationship and on regular engagement as General Audino, they know him well at the Jacksonville district of the Corps of Engineers, as well as my legislative director, Walker Barrett, who's actually from Ponte Vedra. They know both of them well. We're regularly engaged, and we intend to push not only with the Corps office, but with the Department of the Army in Washington, with the Office of Management Budget over in the White House, and frankly, everywhere we can. So, that's I think the real window of opportunity here. I've obviously requested that $500K in the work plan that the Corps will produce for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That plan is expected by the 15th. In case we're not successful, I've also requested funding as a bit of a backup in the FY22 work plan and the FY23 president's budget request. So, unfortunately, the backup plan will be subject to a cap, which is why we're going to push on the front end. And again, I'm offering for that advocacy and for us to lean hard into that advocacy at every level, at the Department of Army, at the Corps of Engineers office in Jacksonville, in the White House, and really, there's a coordination effort with the Department of Transportation. Heck, we'll call them too. So I just wanted to, I think with that, I'll stop. I know you wanted to keep me to 10 minutes, but I know this is important to many of you. It's certainly important to our constituents. I think it's important to the environment, but also as Daytona and Volusia enjoys unprecedented growth, I think it's incumbent on us to press hard for our fair share of both state and federal infrastructure dollars to make sure that we can responsibly keep up with that growth and keep Florida and Daytona beautiful and enjoyable, but have it prepared for those new citizens that are coming in at such an unprecedented rate. So I know this has been an ongoing effort for a couple of years now. We're not going to let it go. We are determined, and just wanted to update you on what we think is an opportunity here in the way the law was finally crafted to get this new start up and going. And I yield back my time, Mr. Mayor, to you and the City Commission. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday.
Well, with news like that, and is he gone? He's still here?
No, I'm still with you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, with news like that, we would, and this is an important meeting tonight. We have some hot items, but I can honestly say that I would give you all night for news like this. This is a generational issue in our community. It's not an issue that we can take lightly. When I say generational, it has been since the days of Dr. Bethune that Midtown has endured flooding. And we have spent millions upon millions to improve the area in the way of flooding. But we cannot meet the challenge without the help of the federal government. And we know that. We can't, this is just a challenge that's too big for the city. And so, in a sense, while I know that there is much work to be done, this is, for the city of Daytona Beach, this news is sort of an early Christmas present for all generations. As we aspire to not simply have sprawl, but to rebuild the core of our city, this is what we need. And so the final thing I want to say is that your advocacy, sir, is greatly appreciated, and your history as a soldier and a defender and a protector of our nation leaves me feeling like, if we ever needed Hercules to do something, we need Hercules. And we've never had a more Herculean representative than you yourself. So I say that simply as a way of encouraging you and pushing you to fight as hard as you can for this generational issue. And I mean, it's multi-generational. Goes back to way before my time, as I said earlier. But thank you for what you've done so far, and thank you for what you will do in the months and years
Well,
moving
Mr.
forward.
Mayor, thank you. If you could just indulge me 1 second, thank you for those kind words. I appreciate it. I really view my job is to be here to support you all and to make sure that we as a community, there's a lot of money flowing around, and we all know that, and we see the news. But I'll tell you how these formulas are often crafted or are crafted, frankly, whether it's clean water, bridges. Florida often, because per capita, doesn't get its fair share. Many of them haven't been updated since the 70s and 80s. If, for example, on clean water, that's stormwater, that's wastewater, our lagoons that so many people enjoy for not only their livelihoods but for pleasure. Florida and California combined, with the size of our states, gets less than New York. Kid you not. So we are not just on this specific issue, but we're fighting hard along with Senator Rubio to get these formulas recrafted to make them fair. And as people are, a lot of people have moved around this country to different places since the 80s, and our population has doubled. And so just know I'm fighting that fight. And then finally, you mentioned one of my heroes, Dr. Bethune, just really thrilled and excited to hopefully see her honored soon with her statue in the United States Capitol as the first ever African American to represent any of the states as one of the 2 statues that represent the state. So that's just exciting for our community, and long overdue and well deserved. And we're this close.
Yes,
just looking forward to seeing you at that dedication ceremony, hopefully soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments, Commissioner?
I just want to say thank you, Congressman Moss, and your district director, Ernie Ordino.
Yeah. Okay.
Great job.
Thank you, sir, and continue to fight. We appreciate it.
Sure. Happy holidays. Have a great night.
Likewise. Okay.
Okay. Move on now to item number 6, which is our administrative items. Item number 6A is City Manager Redevelopment Division, sale of surplus property on Caroline Street. This is a resolution approving an affordable housing development agreement between the city and Homes Bring Hope LLC, HBH, providing for HBH to construct single-family homes on 3 residential lots to be conveyed by the city and sell the homes to income-restricted families at an affordable price, and restricting occupancy of the homes as affordable housing for income-restricted persons for 10 years after the initial sale by HBH, authorizing the mayor as the CRA chair and the city clerk to execute the agreement and any documents necessary to give effect to this resolution, and providing an effective date.
So, second.
We'll take a motion from Commissioner Reed, and I'll take the second. Commissioner Traeger raised her hand there. So sounds like I think we have some eager commissioners up here on this item, because sometimes I have to look around for a motion in a second. But some things go beyond excitement, and this is one. So we have a motion, we have a second, we have speakers.
I do. I have Miss Jessica Gao here for any questions, and then I have additional speaker, Miss Jenny Nazak.
Mayor, if I may, while we're waiting for Ms. Mazak to come up, Ms. Gao has represented to me that they are in fact ready to close on this property, so I wanted to offer that for your consideration. They intend to close tonight. They're accepting the title and the condition of the property and its as-is condition, so they are ready to move forward with that.
Okay. Ms. Nazak?
Avenue. Just very in favor of this. This is wonderful. Obviously environmentally friendly. Lots of other things too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do we have any other comments?
I can't think of a better use for our surplus
Indeed.
property. And I'm thrilled. And I hope we keep on doing that.
In the future, I'd like us to have a conversation about how we can do even better and possibly take a look at the sewer fees or the impact fees, because sometimes they can be a little bit costly. I'd like us to have a conversation, at least take a look at some of the numbers as it relates to that.
Some of the numbers for,
Sewer fees, impact fees when we're doing redevelopment in the redevelopment areas. So where we find that the cost is low, meaning we're helping the person build the home, et cetera, when we take a look at some of the additional fees that the city puts onto it, since we're trying to promote affordable housing, could we please take a look at the numbers to see how we can help people even more? We've had more than one person come forward and say they want to do some work. A few weeks ago, a resident came up and bought a couple of lots as well. But sometimes the impact fees are prohibitive. If we could take a look at that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, for me, it's, it's all on for, we have to do all that we can to help people to own homes in these areas. So I think that's a positive statement, and I'm supportive. Any others?
I'd just like to say I'm extremely pleased with this partnership. It's exciting for someone to get their home, and I look forward to future engagement.
Yes,
And I
absolutely.
can only say again, if I could vote more than once for this, I would.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we got a motion and a second. I'm ready to sign. That's what I can tell you. I'm ready to sign. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations, Ms. Husseini, and to your team. And I know you have an outstanding team. We appreciate you, and we are your partners. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 6B. It's the City Manager's Office Framework Downtown Redevelopment Incentive Grant Agreement Resolution. A resolution approving the Framework Downtown Redevelopment Incentive Grant Agreement between the City of Daytona Beach, the City of Daytona Beach Redevelopment Agency, and Framework Group LLC, providing for the CRA to pay the developer an economic incentive grant of up to $7,500,000 to defray developers' costs of constructing a multifamily residential project on approximately 3.5 acres of land, generally located on a city block at the southeast corner of Michigan Avenue and the North Beach Street, east of Daytona Street, within the city's designated downtown redevelopment area, subject to conditions, authorizing the mayor as the CRA chair and the city clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the city upon the effective date hereof and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner May.
Okay.
With your permission, Mr. Mayor. Drew Driscoll, Deputy City Manager, Fire Chief, and last Saturday, the MC for the 2021 Daytona Christmas Parade. So, just another hat. Good evening. I'm here tonight to discuss a economic redevelopment incentive grant agreement with the Framework Group for some Beach Street apartments. That is on the micro scale of what we're talking about, but I believe what we're speaking about tonight is the holistic view of the impact that a long sought after residential component to our downtown will bring to our community. It's been a little over a year since we met Philip Smith and Framework Group, so I briefly wanted to re-familiarize yourselves in the community. Here we see several of their properties over in the Tampa, Orlando area that are currently up and reinvigorating their areas. Next, we see some of their in-progress work. They, again, are throughout the state of Florida, and I believe one currently in South Carolina. This project we might be familiar with, which is the Napier. The Napier is Framework Group's first investment in Daytona Beach. Currently, it is the highest valued apartment complex in Daytona Beach, offering the city last year $279,000 in ad valorem tax revenue. This was a framework, if you would, their test of the area. I believe they believed in our area, and they wanted to dip their toe in the western side of the city. Again, last time we met Mr. Smith, he was here discussing the former Project Delta. Again, he's maintained that interest in downtown Daytona Beach. He sees the shared vision of this commission, and he's continued to fight forward to bring residential living downtown. Currently, separate of this, framework group is currently under negotiations with the city. They were a respondent to an RFP that we put out for a property on Orange Avenue, which you may know it as the former grounds maintenance facility. Hopefully those negotiations are fruitful, and that will come back before this commission sometime early next year. But tonight, we're here to discuss their newest investment. And for the unveiling, because the picture's backwards. Hopefully our members of the audience could see this. The Beach Street Apartments, or the yet to be named, the reason they're yet to be named is interesting, and I'll discuss in a moment. But this is 300 plus residential units in downtown Daytona Beach with a 500 plus space parking garage, pool, other amenities that you might find similar to the Napier, probably just a step above that. But what I'm most excited about is the approximate 450 new residents that would live downtown. As we work as a city, working together to help revitalize downtown Daytona Beach, we understand the need for heads and beds downtown. These heads and beds are the ones that patronize our local businesses. They help activate the area. When you activate an area with safe, walkable spaces, you create the safety with the presence of people. And 450 new people, hopefully strolling in soon to be open or hopefully open next year park, is everything coming together that this commission has actively pursued downtown. For this rendering here, I could tell you about articulations and this and that, but if Mr. Smith is present, I figure since he's has a master's in architecture from Harvard University, he could probably describe his property much nicer than I. If you're available. Yep. Oh, I'm going to put you on the spot. It's the show. If you could please describe the building, because I think that's of interest to the commission and the community. Yeah, please.
Yes, please come up, Mr. Smith.
All right, up here a little sooner than planned. My name is Philip Smith, the president of Framework Group. My address is 1211 North West Shore Boulevard, Suite 802 in Tampa, 33607. So I won't go into the whole story that we have to tell unless you'd like me to do that now, or if you want me to just stick with the architecture and let you finish. Okay. So one of the things that we do prior to putting a pencil to paper is really, from an urban planning standpoint, think long and hard about the impact that these buildings are going to have on the street. The ultimate goal, as Mr. Driscoll said, is to bring life back to the street, to ignite activity on the street, put windows up, lights on in the windows at night, and have people walking their dogs, and really activate this beautiful park that's just about to open. So the important thing that when doing that, the site is trapezoidal shaped, not just a simple rectangle. And one of the things we consciously avoided was just building a wall along Beach Street, just a flat wall of building with very little articulation. And instead, what we did was really create a sawtooth design. So as along Beach Street, the building just steps back many times in 90-degree angles, as you can see in this elevation. And that does several things. The building sort of unfolds as you're driving down or walking down Beach Street, changes angles with the sun and the light. And it certainly creates a much more desirable residential units, because the more corners you have, the more glass is created in each of those units. So you have better views and better light. And so all those things inure to the sense of place and the value that we're hoping to create with the building. So I'll pause right there if that's enough. All right.
Wow.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I apologize. I'm sure I'll hear about that later. But I represent the city of Daytona Beach, as you know, and I found it important for you to hear from him directly and not myself. Here's just a site plan. As you could see, it's one continuous structure, but what you don't see, and I apologize to the public for not seeing this, but right here, that is the entry to the parking garage. And I'll go back so we could see it. If you look about right of center, you see a yellow lit area. That's the entry to the parking structure. We know in an urban setting, the killer of pedestrian-friendly environments are walking past vast amounts of open garage space or flat surface land. So they incorporated it into the character of the building. But for the incentive agreement, the term is the completion or the start of the project through 2036. 2036 is currently the expiration date of our existing CRA within the downtown area. The minimum requirements, and I emphasize the minimum, is a $80 million investment value, 290 residential units, 500 on-site parking spaces. They must acquire the property in 180 days. And for this to activate, the commission will have to approve the plan development agreement that will come before you in the future. For this, we're proposing that the amount equal to 80% of the ad valorem tax increment derived from the project site that goes to the CRA will be redeposited to the developer for maximum benefit not to exceed $7.5 million. In this, similar to the last meeting, I wanted to break down and play out how this will affect the city, what the impact is, what the benefits are to the city. And since I have it stretched out over 13, you could see it's an abbreviated version, but the full version is in your backup. Over the totality of the agreement, it is estimated that the city would return or receive $2.1 million and that the developer would receive $7.3 million. Again, this is based on today's millage rate, which could change, and assumes a 2% increase in value during the term of the agreement. How can we do this? The benefits of us having a CRA. It is our community redevelopment agency, and the downtown redevelopment area were established in 1982. The primary purpose of the CRA is to remove blight, increase property values, beautification, and generate new infill redevelopment. And infill, which we just celebrated on the last agenda item, is the essential component that the city has continued to strive for, and it is also the most challenging. But the CRA is definitely a partnership between Volusia County and the city of Daytona Beach, reinvesting their dollars into the beautification and improvement of these areas to tackle the blight, the property values. When utilizing effectively, the financial impacts to the city could be mitigated through utilization of other revenues. I wouldn't put it in writing, but I'll say it to you in person. I like using other people's money. So majority of the money utilized in this incentive is from other revenues that have been granted to the city through the benefit of the CRA. The city, as expressed in the last view, the city is still receiving the base rate, the $24,000 that property generates today, in addition to the new taxable value, the tax increment, approximately 20%, will still continue to come to the city. You've seen this graphic before, and it's because I enjoy it, so I wanted to share it again. To date, the city has invested approximately $8 million in downtown Daytona Beach, eliciting $129 million in private investment. As you see, our expenditures have been Phase 1 of Beach Street, the Brown & Brown incentive, and our seawall replacement, which also was funded with grant dollars. Our return to date has been the creation of the $104 million Brown & Brown headquarters and the $25 million gift for the Riverfront Esplanade Park. If we continue to play out and based on this commission's direction, I envision approximately $20 million of investment inevitably in downtown Daytona Beach, and that is for the addition of Phase 2, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, and if this agreement is approved, this includes this agreement. But the net effect, without any catalyst effect, is $209 million in return. That's a 945% return of new private investment in downtown from the actions of the City Commission. And lastly, Philip, did you want to do your presentation now before we get to questions?
Drew doesn't want me to talk, but I'll say a few words. Mayor Rob Merrill with Cobb Cole, 149 South Ridgewood. Privileged to be part of this team that's bringing this request forward, and we'll be back with the plans as Drew mentioned. And thank you, Drew, for such a thorough presentation. And we've been working together for some time now to bring this forward. Real proud of the effort, and thankful you guys are giving us the time tonight. I feel like I'm old enough to kind of be a historian on a couple of things. So to set the stage, if you will, as someone who's spent his whole life here, as you guys, many of you have, this kind of started when the mall came along, right? Volusia Mall, and then the Daytona Mall on Nova Road, and it kind of sucked the life out of downtown. We used to go, that's where you went to go shopping. All the department stores were there. Dunn's Toys and Hardware. When you were a kid, that's where you went to the toy store. If you had a hardware project that was just the smallest hardware store wouldn't do, you had to go to Dunn's. The movie theater, went to the movies there. We did everything in downtown, and it changed in the early 1970s when the mall was built. You guys, about 10 years later, I think, recognize that. And as Drew was talking about, the CRA was formed in 82 or 3. And I think your plan then, when you developed the redevelopment area plans, was to try to breathe life back into it soon, because 10 years later, things had changed dramatically. So you put in place a lot of goals, objectives, policies, and things that I shared with you guys in a letter recently. Hopefully you had a look at. But I think this project that we're putting before you tonight checks off about 90% of the boxes of all those goals and objectives that the city put in place to try to make this happen. You had all those tools in the toolbox, and now we're trying to use them. That's what we're trying to do here tonight. I think you guys have done a lot. The city has, that is, along that timeline. 20 or so years ago, you guys put all those beautiful medjool palms in the streetscape. It made it look like a better place, but it just didn't come back all the way. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And then 20 years later, of course, we kind of had a real big turning point with Brown & Brown deciding to build their corporate headquarters. Cece and Hyatt Brown deciding to build the beautiful riverfront esplanade. Kind of two legs of a three-legged stool, I would say. And I think we all know the third leg, right? People live in there. And that's what's coming to you. And this picture is, I believe, really going to happen. We have a lot of stuff, and I come to you with development projects. A lot of times they don't happen. I'm going to let Phil do the talking from here on out, but I'll introduce him to tell you that, this guy's got a proven track record in other places. And Tampa, I think he probably can talk about Tampa best as by analogy to what we hope could happen here. And when this guy gets involved, he puts his heart and soul into it. This is a guy who gets invested in the community, and I think if you want to call the local government officials in Tampa and ask about him, they'll have a lot to say. And so that's the kind of developer, that's the kind of business person that we want to have invested here. Not just invested with their money, but they put their heart and soul behind it. It's going to happen, right? And things are going to change. And the change that's already happened in other places that this guy showed up, we want to be on that train, right? So with that, Phil, I'm going to kick it to you, and I guess it's a tall order, but please tell us about you and about what your vision is for this project.
Thank you, Rob. Again, Philip Smith, President of Framework Group. I also should mention I'm joined by my Senior Development Associate, Alex Love. I was there in the back, also our civil engineers here in case there are any technical questions. And I just want to thank the Cobb Cole team, Jessica and Rob. It's a real pleasure working with both of you. As Rob mentioned, in talking the last couple of days with many of you and also with others, it did strike me the similarities, and it's kind of shame on me for thinking for it taking this long. I live in Tampa. I've lived there since 2005, but it suddenly struck me in the last couple of days the parity between what I saw and what I see going on in downtown Tampa, and the potential of what I see here in Daytona Beach. And I'll kind of paint the picture for you. When I moved to Tampa, shortly after the wheels, came off the economic bus, right? It was 2005, 6, and it was pretty much over after that. It really wasn't until 2010 or 11 that the city just sort of got back on its feet, and there was some investment was just starting to look around the corner to see if it was safe to even show back up. We were fortunate to not leave the market, one of the few developers that kind of stuck it out. And through that downturn, we actually created more affordable housing than we did in some of the more prolific kind of market rate times. We ended up doing 4 affordable housing projects there, almost 200 units. We ended up renovating some single-family homes on behalf of the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County, just to sort of keep things moving. We did that in partnership with them in one of the darkest kind of economic times that there was in that market. And it was a relationship that we've enjoyed and has grown and flourished since then. But we look at it as a partnership. That's my home, and we're developers, and we have skills, and we should use them to the best of our abilities to affect good change. So kind of turn the clock forward a little bit. Tampa was a very, very sleepy downtown place, and the former 2-time mayor, Bob Buckhorn, made it his singular focus when he came into office that he was going to revitalize downtown. And he marshaled all of the resources of the city, including all the CRAs. And he deployed those funds very strategically. And he said, every decision that we make is going to be made towards the purpose of revitalizing downtown. And he understood that the key component of that, as was said earlier, is the fact that people live there. You can do all the retail and restaurants you want, all the offices that you want. Downtown Tampa was just like that. And at 5 o'clock, it evacuated. And he used to joke that there are more people, more incarcerated residents in downtown Tampa than unincarcerated residents. And he was correct at that time because the city jail was in downtown and nobody lived there.
Wow.
The city of Tampa had an incredible riverfront asset, a river that nobody could really get to. It had turned its back. The buildings had turned their back on it. The city had never really invested in the riverfront. And so, therefore, nothing really happened along the riverfront. And you had this beautiful thing that was never really capitalized upon. And then the Buckhorn administration finally got that funded, and it was like the lights came on. I mean, this one investment and these strategic investments by the CRA behind a singular purpose, 10 years later, 10 very, very short years later, that was 2010, 12, here we are. Tampa and St. Pete are really one of the most desirable cities to live in the entire country by any measure. It has evolved into really something incredibly special. And it grew out of leadership, and it grew out of a really deep desire for the city of Tampa, for the administration, for the citizens to have a really healthy and vibrant downtown. And that happens if people live there. And Rob was talking about the kind of gravitational pull that the mall had on downtown. It takes a little bit of extra to pull it back. So the first person back, which is us right now, just need a little bit extra, a little push, so we can create the density that's required to really move the needle. We can do 1s and 2s, and that's fine. We want to be involved in that too. But 450 people move the economic needle in a downtown. And it starts to create a ripple effect in the water, and others see this investment, and others come and get excited and also will choose to invest. We've seen that happen in many other markets. We're doing this in downtown Lakeland right now. We're just about to start on our next project with a not-for-profit to work on some homeless housing after we did a successful market rate deal. I'm on my 6th market rate project in downtown Tampa, in that market right now. We want to come, and we're on our, as you know, we've successfully completed the Napier, not far from here, Williamson Boulevard. We're going to be doing phase 2 on that one. That's been a great project, and we want to do more after this. We also want to do it all across the pricing spectrum. We know that there's need everywhere, and we can apply the capability that creates a project like this and create developments that have affordable housing. And we were lucky to get awarded the RFP that Rob mentioned and Drew mentioned earlier. We look forward to working with all of you to figuring that one out. That's going to make an impact too. So I'll stop with that, and I'll welcome your questions, and thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I did want to say, I did not know that the Framework Group was doing business in Daytona Beach. When I was interviewing for this particular position in Polk, and I was a city manager in Polk County, I visited the Mirrortown Affordable Housing Project in Lakeland, and one of my first steps, hearing from the commissioners during the interview process, I was going to contact him because I visited the open house. I was invited to come, and we did not even know each other until he came here. And so I do know from a perspective as the administrator, the work that they do from an affordable complex process, you would not be able to tell the difference because of the value and the work that they do. And so when I got here and when he came to visit, he didn't know that I was the new city manager here, but we had met there. It was a great opportunity to say, I am glad that they are doing work here, and I did not know that they were trying to do that type of work. So I do know as just an individual and as a business, the support that they do for high-end apartment complex, they do the same thing for the workforce in affordable housing units. And their property in Lakeland is a signature project that transformed a community that was a derelict community, and they're investing in it. And so I just wanted to share that information that this was going to be one of the companies that I was going to contact and make a connection with to try to do affordable housing in our community. And I think there is the complex in Lakeland that they have on the screen. And it is a community that has truly been transformed because of the work that they did for an affordable complex. But then I saw Napier. So I just wanted to applaud you for going into a community in the city of Lakeland, helping to invest in their community to bring those type projects. And I just wanted to share that with the commission.
Well, thank you very much. Mayor Mutz in the city of Lakeland has the same sort of visionary leadership, has the same intent for the health of his downtown, and that CRA and that administration is working very, very hard to move those pieces around and really set the foundation for that kind of growth. And incidentally, since we finished that project, many of the parcels of land that surrounded that have gone under contract and that now have plans to get redeveloped. So that ripple effect is real.
Absolutely. Do we have any questions? Sorry. Yes, sir. Mr.
I've got a couple. I can ask them now or I can ask them later, but now is probably the appropriate time. Would you entertain selling this project if we approve this TIF subsidy for you?
You mean flipping the contract?
Yeah.
No, sir.
Would you be back before this board asking for more incentives in the future if we approve this?
No, sir. We have worked many months to arrive at the agreement that's in front of you right now. I'm satisfied with it. I believe that Mr. Driscoll's satisfied with it, and that's the one that we're ready to go forward with.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No further questions of our applicant? Thank you. It's good to see you. We appreciate it.
I have a number of speakers.
Yeah. Okay. Drew? Nothing else? All right.
Okay.
Let's hear from
Our first speaker is Frank Molnar, and on deck is Nathan Sullivan.
Good evening, Mr. Feature, Mayor Henry, council members. My name is Frank Molnar with 420 Beach Street. I've owned that property since 2014. First off, I just wanted to start off by thanking all the residents, business people in this community that are showing their support of this exciting project. I've been a resident and business owner in Daytona Beach since 1977. Over the years, Mr. Driscoll summed it up very well as what has happened, and kind of watched the downtown businesses struggle, compete to stay open. It's no secret we have to have, in order for these businesses to survive or to thrive downtown, they must have people living downtown that will actually live in the area. Our downtown area desperately needs market rate housing that'll bring residents to our downtown that can call downtown home. Approximately 3 years ago, I started assembling some parcels of land north of the new Brown and Brown and south of Michigan with the idea to find the right developer that could build a world-class project. And I had no idea something like this could ever come out of it, because when I saw that picture, I was blown away. So I started reaching out to developers all around the country. And for those of you that know me out in the audience, know I'm a pretty persistent person. So I gave it my best efforts and reached out to a lot of developers all throughout the country that were doing projects. And unfortunately, I heard the word no a lot. But I didn't give up. Every developer I spoke with on a project about our downtown, they said, well, what are the comps? The comps aren't good enough. What other projects are close by that, what kind of numbers there are? I'm like, well, there's really no other projects downtown at this time. But so several months back, had the opportunity to meet Philip with Framework. Obviously, I don't have to go into his resume. He's the real deal. He had some interest initially, wasn't convinced, but we're here tonight, and I'm excited that they're presenting this project that would be an absolute, I think, game changer for our entire downtown. And one thing to remember, as Rob said, he's been here representing a lot of developers through the years. Framework Group is ready to start construction immediately. So I think that's very exciting for the entire project. One of the things they didn't really go into was the economic impact study they had done for this project. It's going to create over $35 million gross economic output annually. It's going to produce over 250 jobs that will create over $10 million a year in annual wages and salaries. Over a 30-year period, the city is expected to realize up to $24 million in cumulative incremental ad valorem tax revenues. Am I out of town?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to thank you for your time tonight, and I hope you'll vote in favor of this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank.
Our next speaker is Nathan Sullivan, and on deck is Rose Tornatore.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I've lived in the city of Daytona Beach on and off since 2009. I live at 101 Opal Hill Circle today. Live in the city of Daytona Beach now, and I'm proud to call this my home. It's been a great place. But one of the problems that the city has faced since the time I've lived here, now it's gotten better thanks to the efforts of the agency and of this council. It's gotten a lot better, but Beach Street has not been up to the potential that it could be. And since 2014, I've been an owner of a small business that's now become a medium-sized business, technology and defense contracting firm in Daytona. And we've incentivized our employees to try to move to this city as part of our partnership with Embry-Riddle and the Microplex. I keep getting the same answer when I try to get my employees to move here. We want to live downtown, but there's no good downtown to housing, right? They don't want to commute over from one of the other cities. They want to live here. They want to live on the river. But when they looked, there's one townhouse for sale, and it's kind of by itself, and that's all there is in the downtown area. This housing project is not just going to bring the revitalization and new jobs that are needed for the Beach Street area, but it will enable the local businesses to attract the kind of talent and to retain the kind of talent in this remote work environment we've all found ourselves in that's going to be essential to helping this city grow and to become an even better place for the next generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Roseanne Tornatore, and on deck is Jack White.
Roseanne Tornatore, 2500 South Nova Road, Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm nervous, so I had to write this. Our downtown area needs residents that can support the shops and restaurants along Beach Street. Oh, by the way, hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, friend.
Teacher and commissioners. See. I'm in favor of better lighting here, too. I'm in favor of this project because I believe it will make a positive impact not only on our downtown, but our entire community, including Main Street and the beachside businesses. I just think that everything Framework is doing is going to be great for this community. I think that we're all in favor of this, and this project will be the catalyst for new businesses in our downtown, and I believe the benefits of this project to our community will be substantial for years to come. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jack White, and on deck is Tammy Kaczynski.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I too have written down mine for many reasons. I want to address a problem that I think is something that you can help solve tonight. A few months ago, an overlooked article in the News Journal detailed census data from the last decade. Most of it I glanced over, but the one area they highlighted as an outlier in a decade of growth throughout the county was our historic core neighborhoods. 20%. 20% is how much of our historic Midtown, downtown, and core beachside population has moved out over the past 20 years. While the rest of the county and surrounding cities have seen impressive growth, we have not just seen stagnation, but a loss in population. This number can be directly tied to why we struggle to attract the types of services that many of the current residents continually ask for, especially a grocery store. Getting infill housing off the ground in any downtown is an uphill battle. It takes nurturing and support until a critical mass is met. That is the point you begin to reap the benefits. We've seen a downtown infill project that you all approved last year abandon the plan because even with incentives, ultimately, they couldn't make the numbers work. Those incentives by some opponents at the time were said to be a certain windfall for the developer. We know now that's not the case. There is no hiding the fact that we've lost and are currently losing core area population, and a big win to reversing this cycle is to continue to support more market rate housing in our core area. Tonight is only the first step for this project on its path to becoming a success. The rest is not guaranteed, as some against the project would have you believe. As we continue to lose population, and the longer it takes to attract market rate housing, the more difficult it becomes and the more required from outside parties like yourselves to make it work. The only way to ensure we attract successful projects in the future is to prove we can cultivate successful projects now. Success has to start somewhere, so I ask that you support this project tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tammy Kaczynski, and on deck is Al Smith.
Good evening, Mayor. I don't think I have to apologize to anybody tonight for what I'm going to say. I've had to do that in the past because sometimes I say things that my husband says I shouldn't. So, I'm here tonight as a resident, but also as a business owner on Beach Street. I've been downtown with my business now for 11 years, and it has not been easy. When I first opened my shop, it was a 37% empty rate for the retail spaces that were on the ground level. This type of project will fill in those empty spaces that are still there. I know some of them have been filled in by other businesses. I've watched businesses come. I've watched businesses leave. Sadly, I don't want to see businesses leave. I want to see where M-Bar was supposed to be going in, fill in with something amazing. But it's going to take people downtown to get people downtown. You got to have a place for people to stay. And this next generation, which is the generation of my kids and my grandkids, they're looking for more urban type settings. They want walkability. They want to be able to walk to their job, walk to their coffee shop, hopefully, walk to their wine bar. They want to be able to walk down to McKay's and have a beer and a burger. Projects like this, please don't let this one go away. I was so excited over the one that left. It gets really disheartening to see projects that look like they're going to be amazing not happen. We have a beautiful park I'm having a blast, watch, develop. Let's make sure we have people living downtown and hanging out downtown that can enjoy that park, that can enjoy the shops, and that will help fill in the empty spaces that we have in our downtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Alice Smith, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
Good evening, Al Smith, a longtime stakeholder, business owner in the downtown, and served on the Redevelopment Board for many years. In fact, this, you talk about generational change, Mayor, I think this is right up there with the earlier project I heard about. Very excited. It fits in the plan that we came up with years ago. We've always known the park's going to be great. Brown & Brown here is great. But as was said earlier, the third leg on this stool is to have people living downtown. And we have to get a great developer like this in by public-private partnerships. And I think this is a perfect arrangement for us in an area that will, I want to live there. You're overlooking the water and this park that's coming about. So I encourage you all to take this minimal risk to the city and what will be a great reward for the rest of us. And I encourage you to support this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Good evening, everybody. Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey. It is so exciting to see our core areas blossom with density. When not that long after I moved to Daytona Beach, I participated in a mini TED Talk event, and my speech was literally called Filling Our Empty Spaces. And it was all about all this kind of urban stuff. I'm really excited. We need lots of people to help keep the restaurants and everybody in business. I've tried to keep restaurants in business by myself, and I keep gaining weight. And also, I have limited money, so I'll really appreciate some more residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Larry McDermott.
You guys are the best.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview. Two things. One, I would like to talk about perception. I want to get all 7 of you to be on board. I want the perception that this city wants to redevelop its downtown. We need all 7 of you to say, yes, we need to go forward. Now, this project, when you saw it in the paper originally, it was okay. That is dynamic. That is Palm Beach. That is Boca. Okay? That is what Daytona Beach should be in the future. All right? Secondly, money-wise, there are people saying that $7 million. Why are we giving this money away? We're not giving the money away. I have a project like this 25 years ago. It's called the Wyndham. All right? We gave them $10 million. All right? They are now giving us $1 million a year to the general fund and $500,000 a year to the CRA. We're making a ton of money off the Wyndham. And when it goes online, it's going to be even more. This project, even though it's $7.5 million sounds like a lot, and 12 years sounds like a long time, the CRA is almost 40 years old. It's at the end of its lifetime. Now's the time to do it, because in that 40 years, what have we done downtown? Brown & Brown, in 40 years. Luckily, in front of my house, there's 5 buildings, and they generate a great deal of money and a great deal of tourists. This building will be infill. Now, there's a gentleman behind me that knows a heck of a lot more about infill than I do. And he spoke years ago about the DDA and the CRA creating infill. There was a project called the Pinnacle, right behind McKay's. They hope to get in there. That's a long time ago. There was a project for Ridgewood. Didn't go through. We have to pass this for the future of Daytona Beach. Please make it 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Our next speaker is Larry McDermott, and on deck is Chris Bowler.
The exception of the Boca comment.
Larry McDermott, 1016 Bel Air. You know, John talked about millions of dollars. I'll just put it this way. Here's a $50 bill. I'm the developer. This is my tax bill for the year. I'll give it to you. And the city gives me back $5. Okay, that's basically what the percentage is. if you were thinking about it, I'd trade a $50 bill for $5 bill, trade the $5 bill for a $50 bill every day of the week, twice on Sunday. And that's kind of where we're at. Okay. Looking at this, and I've analyzed this, the book that you got this morning or this week. And I looked at it and I said, all these big numbers, and we're talking about a company that here a number of years ago, when I was at a commission meeting, came here to talk about their project out west. And, Rob's right. A lot of times developers come in here, the commission gives them approval, they go away. You don't ever see them again. Not these guys, not Mr. Smith and his group. They came here, they put a shovel in the ground, and they gave us a nice project. This is what the CRA was created for. Whether you like CRAs or not, that's what they were created for. That's what the state put a statute in the laws of the state of Florida to do, to help communities pinpoint development where the city has its weakest places. So in this regard, I hope that you will support this, because once you get this, what happens to the old First Baptist site? What happens to other places in this area, maybe Midtown, areas like that need development and pinpoint development? Success breeds success. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Chris Bowler, and on deck is Phil Maroney.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, great City Manager, Chris Bowler, 573 Marina Point and 2275 Mason Avenue. So both a downtown resident, thanks to Jack and Kelly White convincing us to move downtown here. There's been a lot of great things said, so there's no need to pile on things. But truly, from an investment standpoint, when someone's giving you the money and you have to give it back, we're not investing that much, right? Are we given a first mover advantage? Sometimes you have to do that, right? Will we give the same deal for the next person coming down the road? As a resident, I don't think we need to. But we sure need to get the ball moving. And someone used the term ripple effect, right? Ripple effect is real. It's tangible. I love walking down from Marina Point and eating at the new Italian restaurant, going to McKay's, walking down Farm to Fit. All these things need heads and beds in order for them to be successful. It's one of the core reasons why we love living downtown in Daytona Beach and felt like we could be part of the positive impact and change. And there was comments earlier about, are there enough places for young people to move to? Jack and Kelly did a great job with the lofts, but we need more places like this. Otherwise, you can't dream it to happen. You need things to happen. So, John, I'm going to give you credit. You had a great statement. One of the best things we can do as a commission is to show developers that Daytona Beach, we are pro-development, but smart development, right? We're a good place to work with. We're professional to work with. And that's all we can ask. We won't bend over every which way for a developer to come in, but we can sure send a sign to all the developers that are out there that Daytona Beach is open for business. We'll be professional. We won't waste your money when it comes to doing things on the front side. And hopefully we can send that great message at a city commission meeting tonight. Thank you guys so much for all your time. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Our next speaker is Philip Maroney, and on deck is Jim Cameron.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to see you all. Thanks for being here. Phil Maroney, 275 Clyde Morris Boulevard, Ormond Beach, Florida, President and CEO of the Root Company. We've had a long history in the downtown area of Daytona Beach and are very interested in seeing it to continue to progress. Lots been said. I'm not going to reiterate too many things here. I just want to mention, this is a true infill development. Those opportunities to do things that are positive from an environmental standpoint, less trips typically, reduction of sprawl. And people talk about the water fields, well fields, et cetera, and development that's going out there and encroaching. This is an opportunity to keep it in close. It's also an opportunity to see existing aging infrastructure improved, which I think is very important and environmental as well. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was the financing aspect. And I know there are certain people in our community, maybe even certain people here, that are concerned about the $7.5 million. The thing that's really cool about this project, from what I've read, is the city actually is not missing all of those dollars. It's just going to collect, once it's constructed, annually to start off $149,421, I think it was, annually in its share of the ad val tax. If you take a look, I looked up the 9 parcels that are going to make up the site. The total tax that those are paying annually is about $45,000. The piece that goes to the city of Daytona Beach totals $15,000. So are we leaving money on the table by not doing this, i.e. you're going to be bringing in some tax money, versus what's out there, which I would challenge you to say is going to appreciate nearly as much as this is going to be. So I hope you consider that, and the economic opportunity to the city. I'm not talking about all the peripheral things and the dollar cost averaging, et cetera, that's going to occur. I'm talking about flat dollars you're going to be able to make for the city from the tax base on this project versus what you have from day one. So you maybe have 12 years of this subsidized or reduced amount, but you're still going to be much better off than what you have, and that's just mathematics. So I hope you have a great night. Appreciate your consideration of this request. Terrific, proven, and successful partner who's already done things here. So I don't think you can go wrong with this, and I really hope it happens. So thank you all.
Our next speaker is Jim Cameron, and on deck is Blaine Lansbury.
I'm Jim Cameron, 335 Bucknell Drive, Daytona Beach. And I've been a long-time proponent for people living in the downtown area. And see, this is not only benefiting existing businesses, but hopefully it's going to attract new investors to the downtown area. And Phil just made a good point about this project being infill, because we've had enough, development, but this is development in the core area, though. I'm excited about that. I may be wrong, but I've had a theory about the new development in this area and potential residents coming to this area as it relates to the school board's decision on Ortona or Ormond Elementary, which one was going to close. And I know that Ormond Beach City Commission had offered, I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, $1 million to keep Ormond Elementary open as opposed to Ortona. And Ortona won out in Daytona Beach. I believe this might have been on their minds when they were thinking about that, though, and potential new people living there is what kept Ortona Elementary open. That said, affordable housing. I understand that Framework is working with the city. I believe it is on a separate project as it relates to affordable housing here in the city, maybe Orange Avenue, though. And I've been a member of the Homeless Coalition and Affordable Housing Group for a number of years, and have spoken in support of type affordable housing. And if and when that project does come forth on that other project on Orange Avenue, I'll be here in support of that, and just as I am here tonight now, in support of this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Blaine Lansbury, and on deck is Teresa Doan.
Little taller. Hi, I'm Blaine Lansbury, 1980 South Peninsula Drive in Daytona Beach. And like Rob, I remember a lot of the history of Daytona. I grew up about 2 miles from here and have lived in that same neighborhood my entire life. downtown was the place we went to shop and to socialize. Dunn's Toys, everything we did was downtown. The word targeted reinvestment was used in the presentation earlier tonight, and that's what this is. I see only positives in this project. I'm going to repeat what others have said, the opportunity to continue the momentum that has started in Beach Street area lately, the housing component and the foot traffic that that's going to provide. I live across the bridge, the newly reopened bridge, which I am so thankful for. And we walk downtown and run downtown and visit the coffee shops and the yoga studio and have a beer every now and then. So having foot traffic that's actually on Beach Street is just going to be an amazing asset. We've talked about the investment that the retail businesses that are sticking it out and have stuck it out have made. I think the new retail businesses that we'll see with these new bodies populating the downtown can't be underestimated. They'll shop, they'll eat, they'll go to yoga, hopefully not too many of them in yoga because we want to make sure we get signed up. I think of Greenville, South Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina, and their downtowns. I had a daughter who just moved back here from Charleston. They live downtown. They work downtown. They walked up and down the street downtown. I can't wait for that atmosphere here in Daytona Beach, and I ask you all to heartily support this move before you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Teresa Doan, and on deck is Malcolm Williams.
Teresa Doan, 9 South Wild Olive Avenue, Daytona Beach. I am speaking tonight as a small business owner on Main Street, and I believe that this project will be very beneficial for the small businesses on Beach Street as well as on Main Street. To spare you repeating points that have been made earlier, but yes, it will build on momentum, and which is very important. It's a quality developer. We need to welcome quality developments like this in our redevelopment areas. It's a huge boon, and this is a great opportunity for Daytona Beach to move forward, and I urge the Commission to wholeheartedly support this project. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Malcolm Williams, and on deck is Joe Yarborough.
Malcolm Williams, 1006 Libby Avenue. Our time has been very well spent here, and I believe this is going to be a project that passes. But I speak now not to just you guys on this dais, but to the people behind me as well, because I'm getting a little sense of confusion of what actually are we selling or what are we buying. Because what I'm hearing is this project is something that we're all looking forward to, but what I am also hearing is this project could possibly wipe out those mom and pop shops or those shops that are there, because what I'm hearing is we want people downtown, we want these apartments to be there, but we're looking for them to feed into the restaurants and things of that nature. We already have the restaurants and things of that nature that are already here. And so what I would like to say, look at the bigger picture, is once this project is voted on and you guys approve it and it begins to move forward, what is the downtown area going to look like? What is that going to look like for all of us who live and work here and play here already? Where is there going to be a grocery store? What is our plans for our ballpark? What is the plans for the entertainment on the area? Because what I'm hearing is what they're looking for doesn't exist. What I've heard was this development is going to come in and then we're going to get new restaurants. Well, there's no higher end restaurants on Beach Street. So we're looking at to do that. This is just what I'm hearing. And it kind of puts some pause of concern to say, once this project is in, what are the other projects they believe was going to back it up? And so only thing that I'm asking is, let's keep what we have intact in downtown while we're improving on downtown, But I don't want us to come back a year from now, in 2 years, well, whenever this project is done, and then we're having a conversation about restaurants and what these particular people who are living in this area are looking for. Yeah, there's no grocery store down there, so where's that going to go? There's no really high-end entertainment or all that stuff, so what is that going to look like? Because what I'm hearing, this is just me personally, what I'm hearing is we're going to enter into a problem down the line once this development is already in place. Now, I'm just going off my thoughts, and I wasn't going to speak, but this is just what I'm hearing. And so I'd rather us have a bigger conversation now and to try to protect those small business owners that are on Beach Street and not it seem like they're going to be forced out within a year or two of this project being approved. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Joe Yarborough, and on deck is Beth, I believe it's Weinbrenner.
I'll be just a minute. I am the manager of Esplanade, or the Brown Riverfront Esplanade, is what we know now, or used to know as Riverfront Park. In the process of developing the park and trying to determine how to get events in the park, because there's going to be an event at least once a week. And by the way, it's up to $26 million now in renovation cost. It keeps blossoming. The Browns, myself, and some others visited Greenville, South Carolina. And why? Because they have a park downtown. It's called Falls River Park. They also have a vibrant downtown on the other side, the park downtown. Very, very similar to what we have on Beach Street. How did they turn it around from a textile town 20 years ago to a downtown now that is vibrant? How did the park was part of it, but how did they get the businesses back downtown? They did it through housing. The mayor that spent probably 2 hours with us while we were there had been there for 25 years. Think he's seasoned. He saw the potential of Greenville as the textile industries pulled out with the recession. Here were these empty buildings, the pollutants in the creek, I call it, they call it a river. And they said, what are we going to do? The city methodically started picking up pieces of property. And when the time was right, they lured housing and businesses back downtown by giving them the property. The city owned the property. They started buying it during the recession. They had a vision. The park has been completely renovated. Very, very busy. There's something going on there all the time. Across the street are the sidewalks. Housing was the secret. We got to have people downtown. They did that in our lifetime. Shoot, I can remember being there in the 20s. It wasn't anything. Today, it is a destination. More and more people are coming back downtown. You've got to start with housing. Now, the difference, and you're all very bright people, between Greenville and what's before you tonight is they gave away something they had. They own the land. This project is not asking you to give them anything. They're asking for some credit on property taxes. It's something right now you don't have. The bottom line is everybody in the industry today has to provide incentives, whether you give the land or you recognize the benefit to the overall public. But the Esplanade, the Brown & Brown, the Beach Street businesses, and this housing will make for the dynamic community. Thank you.
Our final speaker on this item is Beth Weinbrenner.
Joe, just for the record, you said the 20s. I just want you to know that. So, Bobby, if you're watching, you better check him out. He said the 20s. Okay, go ahead.
Beth Weinbrenner, 236 Pinecone Trail, Ormond Beach, Florida. Thank you for having me here, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm a graduate of Seabreeze High School, class of 86. And I grew up here, Ormond Junior, Ormond Middle School, Seabreeze, DBCC back then, Daytona State now. I've moved away, and I've just come back 3 months ago, bought a home. coming back, I've seen how beautiful the city has become, but I've also seen how some of it has just really stayed the same. Changes. There have been great improvements, but some things have stayed the same. As a profession, I'm in residential real estate, and everything always talks about the comps. Let me see the comps. I got to determine the value of the comps. So as Frank Molnar mentioned that when he was out shopping for developers, all they wanted to see was the comps, and there were none. There was nothing for anyone to see or review for big projects going on in Daytona Beach. So if Framework Group comes in, they will be the comp. They will be setting the bar high. What an amazing project that is. I see on Facebook, or a lot of my friends right now for the holiday seasons, they're traveling up to St. Augustine. Everyone's going to the Festival of Lights up there. Why are people driving up the coast, up I-95, to go to another city to enjoy something when we could be stringing lights up and down Beach Street? They should be coming here to have dinner. They should be coming here with their families. They should be coming here to have the coffee. I took a dance class on Beach Street the other week. Why are we not drawing people here? Part of my idea is like, string the lights, install pylons in the street, host our annual art festivals that we do, but we could also be, this building could provide an opportunity, maybe I'm jumping ahead here, it could provide opportunity for like year-long art installations or rotating art installations or things like that. That would be another way to vitalize the community. And you've heard the phrase that if you build it, they will come. So when people are asking, where are the grocery stores, who's going to support all of this? When we get this development built and it is now a comp, the other developers will be coming to us and offering to really help revitalize. Well, we got to start somewhere. So if we build it, they will come. The grocery stores will come. The CVSs will come. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was my final speaker for this item.
Okay, we've heard from our residents and constituents. Do we have any comments from the commission? We have a motion and a second.
Well, we humans are social people. Long time ago, everybody lived downtown, and then they went out to the suburbs, and now we want to come back downtown again. When I first heard about this project, I was a little bit concerned, being as the Delta project didn't come to fruition. And then I found out why. It was that they wanted to go ahead, but the landowner did not want to give them an extension. So I am so happy that they wanted to build here again in Daytona Beach, that they love Daytona Beach. And I get the feeling that they are wanting to make our town better than it is now. Another thing is, we are not giving them that money. If nothing is built there, we're going to get just the regular real estate taxes we always get. But if something is built there, even if we don't get so much for the first 15 years, we will be getting the regular real estate plus 20%. And at the end of 12 years, we'll get more. So I cannot really see that this is anything but a win-win situation for Daytona Beach. And I talked with Mr. Smith, and I was very favorably impressed that he likes Daytona Beach. And I think we're going to like him too.
Thank you. Yeah, agree. Any other comments?
I'd just like to say I was impressed in meeting with Mr. Smith on how his company had done research on Daytona, how he broke down that before they go somewhere, they look at it from a historical point of view on what the need is and how they can supply that need. He actually had a spiral notebook on the history of our city from its beginning until today. And I thought it was very thoughtful. I don't think many developers do that. They just want to come and they just want to build. I'm also elated at the fact that he has won the RFP for the Orange Avenue area. So I'm looking forward to that coming before us as well. Mm-hmm. But as a native Daytonian, I tell you, I remember Learners. I remember First Scots. I remember Linden Vogues. I remember my mama shopping on Beach Street for me for Christmas and for Easter and the excitement that used to be on Beach Street. And I remember Dunn's Toy Shop and the big toys that used to be in the corner window store and what have you. The revitalization of Beach Street is a necessary thing. And I am so proud to be on this dais with you all as we start making changes for my hometown and for your hometown and for your city. The time is now. There's a new wind blowing in Daytona Beach, and it's a fresh wind, a wind of change, and we have the opportunity to make that change. We're going to be able to look back and say, look how blessed we were to be the ones who made that decision. I'm excited, and I'm ready to vote.
Well said, Commissioner.
Go ahead. So I've gone around, so I'm the commissioner for Zone 3, so thank you so much for being downtown. I've spoken to residents on both sides, South Beach Street, North Beach Street, beach side, also into the Midtown area, and my hope is that this does actually move outward. I have big hopes for the Ridgewood corners. I have big hopes for the MMB statue coming. I want the surrounding areas to benefit from what is coming downtown. And also, I hope that having people downtown walking through the parks will help to inspire some of the surrounding communities to also see some revitalization take place. And maybe once people live in an apartment, they'll say, you know what, I really like the area. I want to start buying and investing in the local surroundings and stay downtown. So I hope that this is a catalyst, not just for downtown, but for the surrounding circles that engulf us, like the Orange Avenue area. So I think it's a very exciting time. I'm glad to be a part of it. Also, as a downtown business owner, I think it's exciting as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reed, I agree with you. I remember downtown when I was a kid, movie theater, Walmart, toys. My mother, I actually went to school downtown at Mayland Southern Prairie Center. Piggly Wiggly across the street. So I'm all for this project as well.
Piggly Wiggly. Yes. Anyone else? No other comments? Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor, and we have a project before us that's very important. And I simply want to say that as a community, it is important that we look at the big picture of where we're trying to go. And this is what we have envisioned for Daytona Beach and for downtown. When you think about the fact that this CRA has been in existence for almost 40 years, and the reality is it's not been a place of great desire during that time period. But as Commissioner said, the winds are blowing. And, there are those in our community, and it's a overwhelming minority who think that, we're giving away too much, and they would encourage us to wait. But waiting, when you're just sitting there waiting, the rabbit usually runs on by. We have the rabbit in hand. So let us not wait, because I would be remiss if 15 years went by and we didn't have this project. I mean, I would be one of the great disappointments, I think, in the history of our city, in the history of any commission. So I encourage you, my colleagues, to do as I think John said, and I wrote John's remarks down tonight, because with the exception of Boca, I don't want to be Boca, but with the exception of Boca, 98% we're spot on tonight, buddy. I agree with your sentiments tonight, and I also agree with Phil and I believe every other speaker. So we have a motion, we have a second. Let us entertain a roll call vote.
Okay. Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes.
Commissioner Traeger.
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland.
Yes.
Commissioner May.
Yes.
Commissioner Cantu. Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Yes. Let the construction begin. Thank you and welcome. Well, I want to say you're at home. Okay.
That was our final item on our CRA.
Okay.
Jesus should have been.
Yeah, I'll sign this. Okay. Okay, we'll close this meeting for signatures, and then we will reconvene our regularly scheduled meeting in 10 minutes. Okay.